Welcome back to I'll Explain All This Later, Season 4. We all know the scene. 2 o'clock a.m. Monica looks at Quincy and says, I want to play you. Quincy says, for what? For your heart. We all called it goals. But at 39 years old and over 500 episodes of Life in Pain, I'm looking at the stats differently. Why does she have to play a game to win a man? Why is the support system in our community usually saying a black woman benching her dreams so a black man can play MVP? Why? Tonight we're checking the scoreboard. We're clearing everything out about the sacrifice gap, the ride or die delusion, and why some of y'all are playing for a championship with a partner that isn't even wearing the same jersey. I got a lot to unpack, but as always, I'll explain all this later. Let's get into the play-by-play.
Yeah. You tuned in to the place they tap out, and we tap in. All the grown talk, all the real flavor. Sex, love, and the mess in the middle. We get to it now, not later. We don't duck smoke, we don't dodge behavior. If they scared to say it on air, we break it down with that razor.
This is I'll explain all this later.
Say it loud, say it back, do it greater. With your host, Big Smash, and filter creator. Pull up a chair.
I'll explain all this later.
From the bedroom secrets to the broken hearts in the chat. From late night texts to red flags waving, we really talk about that. So hit that play. Bring your questions, your favor. You with Big Smash and the crew.
I'll explain all this later.
Y'all already know what this is. Season 4. I'll explain all this later podcast. It's in effect. I took a break. I had to reset. I had to get my mind right. I had to get my mind going. We are fresh off my first ever live podcast show. And when I tell y'all that I had a ball, I had a ball. All right? If you was in the building, if you stopped, if you brought a ticket, if you came and checked us out, I appreciate you. I appreciate CL. I appreciate Bougie Babe. I appreciate Uncle Dolomite. I appreciate Infamous. I appreciate Lights Out. I appreciate Kennedy. I appreciate K3 Creations. I appreciate Renee. I appreciate Rodders. I appreciate Styles for helping me put all this in motion in the background. I appreciate Jay from Mind Triggers for popping out. Shout out to my boy Conversations with Lamp for supporting. And just everybody, King Germ, everybody Cool Out, everybody that, you know, politic with Big Smash. And shout out to my man Jay Christian. Shout out to DLP. Everybody that played a role, doesn't matter the size of the role, you played a role. And I appreciate you. All right? Shout out to the lovely Crystal. Definitely was a big inspiration and a big part as to why this show came the way it came. This season, I wanted to switch it up. We're going to try something a little different this season. All right, I fresh off of my first show, fresh off of doing a live damn near every day for like the last month. This season is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of these episodes, not a lot of them, all of these episodes are inspired by key black cinema. And so let's kick it off, man. Listen, we have been told for 25 years that love and basketball is the ultimate black romance, right? We were locked in when, you know, when she said, I want to play for your heart. Like, we were locked in as kids. We thought that shit was corny. As we get older now, we see the balance of it, though. We see what exactly it is, you know, what exactly was going on. You know, But if we gonna be honest about this backdrop, right? Monica, she had to play defense her whole entire life. Quincy just had to show up to the court because everything was handed to him. And that's what the balance of tonight's episode is about. We're gonna talk about why black women are expected to bench their dreams to keep the romance in the game. I think tonight we have to go there because why black men are often, why we have to be raised to be the MVP without learning how to be a teammate. And this is not an on everybody relationship thing. This is just strictly what I've seen, what that movie presented to me, and how it fits in the landscape of reality. All right. So I remember in that movie, right? Y'all remember in the movie when Monica's mom was telling her that she was too much or she needs to be more ladylike. And then you have at the same time, Quincy is being more encouraged to be more aggressive. How does this translate into modern dating, right? You gotta understand that most men are living in a world where we have to be more aggressive to get what we want, okay? The psychology of this is, in many black relationships, right, one partner becomes a silent partner, all right? What I mean by that is they are always there. They are physically present. The goals, the personality, the needs, all of that have been benched to keep the peace. What I mean by that is goes for both men and women. Sometimes we will push our things and things that we decide what we want. We'll push that shit to the back. There have been many times that I have pushed things to the back burner, things that I really, truly wanted, and I had to really, really push it back and do what was best for the team, and vice versa. There have been times that, you know, whoever I was dealing with had pushed their goals and their dreams and their aspirations to the back because of whatever it was I was trying to do. But when you bench your needs, right, you'll stop playing your own game. You'll eventually lose your identity. You'll eventually lose who you are, because what you're finding out is you're not living your dreams. You're living someone else's dreams. And you're just trying to fit a role into that to see that through. In the old school, they tell us, hold our partner down. Be her rock. Be his peace. But I think we gotta start listening more to being coached on how to grow without one person shrinking. I don't want you to shrink because I want to feel like I'm bigger than you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to feel like you're bigger than me. If we don't have this same level, same wavelength, it's not gonna work. Okay? You got to think about it. In this movie, Monica was penalized a lot for her passion in our community. And when I say in our community, speaking of people of color, when a woman is all in on her career, when a woman is all in on her goals, she is often labeled difficult or unsubmissive. I don't want you to bow down to me. All right? But there has to be a balance in this, okay? Why is the success of a woman viewed as a threat to the relationship? Like, for me, I want you to be who you are. I don't never want to change you. I don't never want to tell you what to do or how to do it. I don't never want to change who you are as a person. You are who you are. And somehow, as a man, as a leader, we are supposed to shape that. We're not supposed to change that. We're supposed to shape that and have all the pieces of the puzzle fit. Instead of looking for other pieces on the board, I tend to think that we need to start working on the puzzles that actually fit in the puzzle. Like, why are we doing this if I gotta change you? If I gotta change who you are, then you're really not who you are, and that just messes up the balance of it. Okay? I don't think a woman based on her success is difficult. I think a woman who gets out and does and grinds and moves and shakes for what she wants is a woman that can play on my team any day. Real talk, the sacrifices are there. Both parties have to make sacrifices in order for this to grow. It doesn't just rely on one person. It doesn't just move off one person. All right? You got to think about it like this too. I'll tell you some of the things that I seen that I actually, in this movie, you could look at it and see Quincy. He could fall out. He could walk away. He could fail. He could act out. And yet, he is always welcome back to the starting lineup because that's his spot. Okay? As a leader, this is reality. You can screw up. You can mess up. And if you have a really, really good woman by your side, that starting spot is going to be yours no matter what. Lost my job. Your spot's still here. We argue, we fight. Your spot's still here. Anytime you dealing with someone who gets mad at you but doesn't go out and do what a lot of people are capable of doing, that's something that you should hold on to. That's your starting spot. That's where you're running. That's who you're running with. That is your starting spot. That is where you go. I think a lot of times people don't realize that your starting spot is secure because at the end of the day, that woman or that man knows that you're going to mess up. So that doesn't mean that you get infinite redos. Okay? But at the same time, men, we got to give these women grace too because we require them at times to be perfect from the first whistle. And that's not the way that works. I know goddamn well I ain't perfect. I've done some of the most outlandish things and I expected a do-over. I expected a redo. I expected a second chance. And the whole time I had to look at it from a different perspective. Like, okay, if I'm going to be doing this and getting all these redos, then I need to be giving her the same grace. So when I look at that movie and I looked at Quincy and I understood some of the things that he went through. First of all, his dad was a cheater. He found that out. He found out his dad was a cheater and everything that he based on his father, he thought his father was Superman. He thought his father was the greatest man that ever moved. So when he found this out about his father and he found out about the cheating and infidelity and the other women, it kind of made him look at love in a different light. Like he didn't believe in love like that anymore. He didn't believe it. That's why he kept telling, look, we might as well go ahead on and end this now because I'm just going to end up hurting you. And first, Monica, she tried to really push that narrative and stick with him. And that's what women do in real life, man. They will try to stick with you even when we push them away. I can speak on experience as a man who has pushed quite a lot of women away. I look at it sometimes as I am at that time I watched a lot of things in my life shift my movement on how it was to be a man. Like, you can take care of your family, you can take care of your kids, and you can still be fighting the demons that you're not quite understanding how to fight them. I would sit back in the cut and, and I would look at it like, I'm Big Smash. I'm a dude that can do what he wants because he handles his business. And what I mean by that is he takes care of his kids, he makes his money, he pays his bills, he does what he has to do in the community. He ain't out here causing no mischief. He is a different dude. So I had that mind frame of, all right, I can do whatever the hell I want to do because I paid those dues. And a lot of times we think like that, and then we get to trying to treat people that we value the most like shit. I've had women who have sacrificed everything that they had in my marriage. Let's talk about it. That woman sacrificed a lot when it came to me. And I think what it was when she sacrificed her goals, her dreams, and things like that to trail behind Big Smash, because I was supposed to be leading this. This was, she was one of those, and any other relationship that I've ever been in too, they all were led by me. Didn't matter if I led them into a brick wall or not. As much as they tried to deviate from being led in the dark, I had some really, really solid women sticking with me. And at times, they may have been unsolid because I was unsolid. So I'm not going to sit here and bash and say, oh, well, they did it. No, we both did it. It was a two-way street. Now, when you balance this out and you understand the sacrifices that people have to make, because there are a lot of sacrifices that have to be made. And when you understand the balance of that, then you understand the balance of when someone literally gives up their dreams, their wants, something that they work their ass off to get, just to follow behind a man or a woman that they truly believe in. It's a different feeling when that belief is broken. So make sure, man, if someone is taking the time to put everything that they have into you and be behind you and stand with you, something in your heart should click and tell you, nah, I'm not gonna fuck this up. This person really believe in me, and sometimes that's all I really need is belief. That's all I need is somebody to believe in me, somebody to understand me, somebody to rock with me. Oh, I need this. Because there are times we'll look and we'll see that, damn. But then there are times out here too that we will look at them and take advantage of this shit. Oh, they believe in me? Oh, they ain't gonna never leave. They ain't gonna never turn their back on me. Oh, I got this. Let's be real. When they played that game of basketball and she played him for his heart, you got to understand people do that shit every day. And it don't even require a basketball. All right? If you have to perform a feat of strength, endurance, or skill to get someone to choose you, you haven't won a partner. That's not a partner. All right? That's a delusional aspect, though. Because you shouldn't have to sacrifice everything for a game of chance. Either that person wants you or that person doesn't want you. That's the sacrifice you have to make. You're sacrificing yourself to fit into something else that doesn't fit for you. And be that as it may, listen, Quincy had moved on. He had moved on. He had went and got, the supermodel, and he had moved on. He had started building the bridges to his own life. And you got to think about it. Monica chose the one time that she said, you know what, fuck this. I've chosen you this whole entire time. This time I'm going to choose me. And she went off and she went and played ball. And Quincy, rightfully so, he had every opportunity to get out and say, you know what, all right, cool. You don't want to wait for me. You ain't here in my corner. You wasn't with me when I found out. You was worried more about curfew than everything else. Cool, I moved on. Monica had to bite that bullet because she expected when she came back that he was going to be standing right there waiting on her ass. That ain't the case. And I don't blame either party. Got to go for what you got to go to. Sometimes you have to go to, in this case, she went to another country to pursue her own greatness, to realize that the person who told you to stay was actually just afraid of your growth. In a sense, Quincy probably felt like Monica was going to be bigger and better than him, and he just couldn't allow, his pride couldn't allow that. So, in a sense, he did what he had to do, and he moved on. And I like to think that they both found happiness in something that they did. Quincy got hurt, and, that might have been a part of him that realized, like, damn, this is over with for me, I think sometimes you have to elevate yourself. If you're in a relationship and it's not elevating you, if it's not transforming you, if it's not building you up, and it's not giving you life, it's not for you. All right? You got to understand, I'm not big on borrowing and loaning and all that other shit. If we together, we together. You know, we don't have to, you know, we look back and like, who's getting the benefit of this relationship? You know, are we both? If the resources aren't balancing right, the money, the cars, the funding, the clothes, the time spent, things like that, this is a corporation then. It's not a partnership. Because if I'm doing all of this and you're just standing here just happy to be here, it's not a partnership. All right? If the only way that you could be the MVP is by keeping your partner on the bench, icing your partner out, you aren't a star, you're a tyrant. And I got to speak on this because there were times that I didn't realize who I was until I did this show, man. I didn't realize how big of an impact that I could possibly have in this world, you know, and I'm starting to see that now. We have to stop romanticizing struggle love, though. Love is a struggle, but eventually the struggle has to phase out for it to be a success. You can't be 5 years in still struggling. You can't be 4 years in still struggling. The most struggle period that I will give a relationship is a year. Okay? After that, we should pretty much have all the kinks down and know where we're going. Just because the movie was good and it had a good soundtrack, we doesn't mean that, you know, it just happens like that. All movies don't just wake up and just say, you know what, we fell in love, we had kids, we got married, and we lived life. Nah, tell me about all the stuff that happened. And this movie did. It told us everything that happened till it got to that point. You know what I'm saying? We're talking sports metaphors, right? A championship ring don't mean nothing if you had to lose yourself to get it. Let me say that again. A championship ring don't mean nothing if you had to lose yourself to get it. Okay? I think you have to look at yourself and look in the mirror and understand that support versus service. There is a thin line between being a supportive partner and an unpaid personal assistant. You're not here to do all my work while I just sit back and let you do it. All right? I'm managing my schedule, my emotions, and your schedule and your emotions, and you managing my schedule and your emotions, and it should be that all the way around. I was focused on my podcasting career. Yes, I absolutely was. And I lost essence in a lot of relationships in that time, in that phase, especially in marriage, because I completely lost track of everything. And they will stick by you. They will stand with you and they will watch you do this and do that. But then they're looking like, all right, cool. What's in it for me? You ain't a teammate if you just standing off to the sideline. You are a staff member. Real talk. The black woman is always expected to be the healer, right? Think about it. Quincy's father messed up. And Monica, she had to pay that emotional tax because he basically looked at it like it's her fault. All right? It wasn't her fault. She had nothing to do with it. But at that time, he felt like she should have sacrificed basketball to tend to him. But then you have to look at it like, sometimes we got to choose what's best for us. And if you love me, if you're with me, if you understand me, you're with me, you're going to be there all the way. You're going to hang with me all the way. You're going to push all the way. You're going to, you know, we ain't just chasing your goals and dreams. I got dreams and goals too. We got to stop making our partners responsible for fixing trauma that they did not cause. I was guilty of that. Many people stay in relationships not because they are winning, but because they are terrified of free agency. Being single, being out here and available. A lot of people stay with a Quincy because they're familiar. even if they're currently benched. A lot of people stay with a moniker because it's familiar, and y'all been there so long, and y'all put in the work and the time and the effort. I get it. In our community, in most of it, the man often dictates the culture of the home. If he's a baller, right, the house is a gym. If he's a gamer, the house is an arcade. When does the black woman in our community get to set the home court rules? That's something that you got to look at when it comes to your relationship. Monica had to go to a different part of the world to be great. Now you look at it, you balance that out into the real world. Today, women are traveling, they getting degrees, and they leveling up globally in their area. Are we prepared to, us men, are we prepared to be the trailing spouse? Like, or do our egos require us to always be the one in the spotlight? I don't feel like I have to be the only one in the light for us to shine. There might be a night that I have an off night. I might not be playing my best. And she might got the hot hand. We gonna feed off of that. Long as we win, I don't care who's taking the shots. If I'm having an off night shooting and I gotta defend and I gotta play the best defense, pass, rebound, steal, call the plays, whatever, in order for us to win, I'ma do that. Let her be the star. My sacrifice is greater. Let her be the star sometimes. Sometimes you gotta let your partner take over. All right? This isn't a couple's goals moment, because when you get on social media, yeah, you see the happy smiling pictures, but you don't see who had to forfeit their goals or their peace of mind to make this picture look championship ready. All right? You don't know what it took to get to this point. All right? I look at it like this. We have to talk about how, and I will. This is definitely a topic I'm going to jump into this season. We have to realize how seeing our parents love on each other and how does that shape us. But also you got to understand that you don't always have the parents who love each other. We see some of our parents cheat or play dirty, and it makes us think that that's how the game is supposed to be played. That is how we supposed to move. We out here running plays from a 1980s playbook that doesn't work in 2026. We got to unlearn this whole ride or die bullshit too. I want to just say that. All right, that's a crash mission. A real teammate wants you to survive the trip. We need to transition from ride or die to grow and thrive. I want to see us make it. All right? Sometimes you also got to know when to retire from a relationship that is no longer serving you. All right? You got to know when to walk off the court. The game is over. Retire your jersey. It's over with. The final buzzer is here. There's no trophy for suffering the longest. Oh, I've been with you and we've been in pain and we made here and we did this. No. Got to know when to walk away. Sometimes we need to understand that every year is not going to be a championship year. All right? There may come down to a time we need to rebuild. We need to retool. We need to get back. We need to go through some shit. Not just winning. We need to go through some shit, some hard times, some rough times that builds character. All right? So sometimes you got to go through. That means no scoring, no trying to put the best team out on the floor, just therapy, communication drills, and honest conversation when you think about it. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm not. All right? We spend too much time trying to be the best man or the perfect wife that we forget to be a functional human being. Your relationship requires you to sink so they can shine. You are not in a partnership. You are definitely in an eclipse. Okay? And eventually the sun is going to come back out, and then you're going to realize that you've been in the dark too long. I know how it is sometimes. I do. I know how it is. And I never wanted it to be, sometimes you got to look at things from an actual standpoint. We romanticize how they always say behind every good man is a good woman. My takeaway question from the night, right? What is one thing you bench for your partner? What is something that you did for your partner? Was it a job offer? Was it a move to a new city, a hobby? And did they ever put you back in the game, or they still got you sitting on the sidelines? How'd you deal with it? How'd you hold it? All right. And then follow-up question in that. And I really want y'all to think about this. Is it actually possible for a couple to have two MVPs? Or does one person always have to be the water girl or the water boy for the other to shine? Next week, season 4, episode 2. Gonna dive into a movie that I feel like can relate to the next week's topic. We're gonna talk about the best man and why your homies might be the reason your relationship is failing. We're gonna jump into it. But for the Monicas and the Quincy's out there, check your scoreboard. Make sure y'all both writing out the same playbook. Make sure y'all playing on the same team and y'all got the same goals, the same game plan. Because sometimes it don't feel like that. But in the end, your sacrifice can be greater than what you take it for. Y'all already know what this is. I enjoy this, man. Listen, I am having the time of my life right now. Fresh off my big show. Getting ready to gear up for the second show. We do have a second show coming up. We are in Minnesota, March 14th. Details are coming. We got the heavy hitters coming out. Got some old faces, some new faces popping in. It's gonna be dope. Y'all already know what this is, man. I'm out.
Thanks for listening to I'll Explain All This Later. Please like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And join us again next time for more outlandish takes on relationships and the dating life.